What's up, gang? It's your buddy, Reformed Stoic here. Back with another video. And I think this is going to be a short one for you today. So, I have lured you in here with my clickbait title, The Real Reason Why You Don't Want to Be Around People Anymore, or Social Anymore. Honestly, I haven't thought of the title yet, but it's going to be a good one, and it's going to get you here. And it's going to be something along those lines. So what's the real reason that you are no longer social, why you can no longer be bothered with what I like to call the watering hole? If we're like looking at, human life as like the jungle, I feel like a watering hole is like a place where, you can meet friends, you can meet women, you can make friend groups, you can ultimately in my experience, it was places that I went with my friends. I honestly didn't tend to meet people in those situations that much, but I digress. Ultimately, guys, not putting it off any longer, it's trauma. It's trauma, and I believe that the way I use the word trauma is in a very broad sense. I think that when people think trauma, they think something devastating happening very quick. I'll just give an example. You're walking down the street one day and then a bunch of guys with baseball bats assault you and rob you, and then you're in like a coma or something, and then it's like, wow, that was a very traumatic event. I think ultimately the way I define trauma is that if it changes your life, it's like life-changing events, and I think the overall slow drip of Chinese water torture type bad experiences that can happen all throughout high school, all throughout your childhood, all throughout college, or maybe you get to a point where you look back at all those things, it's like, gee, the same things were going wrong in college and high school. That can all kind of amount to trauma. It's like, it's time to gather a harvest of the last 10, 15 years of experiences. Maybe it happens around the time you're 28 and you think, gee, how are the last 10 years for me? How was my senior year of high school, through college, through starting to try to make it in the world? And you start to connect a lot of dots and be like, wow, I've been having the same issues the entire time. And you kind of it just clicks in your mind, and it manifests as trauma. And a really good way to look at it is like HP, hit points in a video game or a card game or what have you. And it's like, once you die, basically, once you run out of hit points, you're traumatized and you don't really want to play anymore. And you could almost make the argument that you can't play anymore. And once you have trauma, it's like being bald, basically, is the best analogy I can come up with, because everybody's got a brand new product. Tired of being bald? Tired of people laughing at you for not having as much hair as everybody else? Well, you're going to have to try our brand new, everybody's trying to market you a solution, a cure. And there's a lot of guys out there, like myself, who know, bro, if you want to get more hair, you have to get hair plugs or a hair transplant or a hair piece. There's no over-the-counter solution. There's no number you can call for 5 easy payments of $29.99. There's nothing out there like that that works. And for the record, what that stuff does is it takes the hair that you have and makes it stronger or whatever. Sometimes that stuff like Rogaine can help you keep what hair you have. But as far as growing back your receded hairline, there's nothing out there that does that. At least not yet. So, and do I have a solution for trauma? Well, I know of some solutions. You can try TRE exercises. But when you go deep down that rabbit hole, you'll find a bunch of people talking about energetic release and kind of metaphysical energetic stuff. And I'm just to a point with that where, because I'm back to the drawing board of my metaphysics a little bit. I'm going back towards more just mainstream Catholicism. The idea that like there is no metaphysical realm or there is no energy. I'm not so sold on that anymore. But at the same time, when I hear some like hippie like talking about energy, you're gonna release your traumatic energy that's built up in your knee, it's like, yeah, something tells me that this maybe isn't gonna work. But it's worth trying. TRE exercises, breathing exercises, Wim Hof, cold baths. I mean, I don't really hear people saying that cold baths, ice baths deal with trauma, but you know, what it does do is give you mental toughness. It helps you sleep better, helps you recover better. And I was to a point where I was starting to take cold baths every day. And I don't know, I felt pretty good about that. I'm going to try to get back into that. That might just help you focus your mind more and heal your mind more. Having victories, like, and that's a big part of what I wanted to cover here, is that the thing that could help move you past your trauma is the thing that you didn't get that caused your trauma. Like, you got traumatized because you weren't able to get the thing that ultimately caused your trauma. You know, the lack of this thing that could heal your trauma is what caused your trauma. And for a lot of men right now, it's success with women. And at the very least, I've had a change of perspective where it's like, okay, I was taking part in secular hookup culture, and I ultimately feel like I'm traumatized from just getting demolished, from being surrounded by dude bro party guys who, nobody likes when I say this, but the reality is, guys, is that a lot of these guys in this circle who are cleaning up were probably like 90, 95 IQ, and I have 130 IQ. People do not like when I say that, but I honestly believe that that is the reality of the situation. I was getting out-competed in dating by guys who were like almost 3 standard deviations lower than me in IQ. There are studies I've posted in my community posts that low IQ men tend to have more sex. It's the reality of the situation. That's all I can really say about it without, you know, having people be furious at me. But boy, now I'm starting to kind of lose my train of thought. I'm so freaking smart! Nobody knew it! You know now, don't you? So I just got freaking just leveled in secular dating and sleeping around competitions, hookup culture basically, and I've at least gone back to the drawing board and said, okay, what I really would have liked is to have fallen in love and gotten married. And I was going for the wrong things, and ultimately the things that I wanted were wrong and sinful. So, you know, if you can look back at your past, like this is what like a good therapist would do, because I feel like a lot of psychology today is all about trying to figure out what's wrong with you and shoving pills down your throat. You see this in like movies and cartoons and TV shows. Let's go back to your childhood, and they try to kind of figure out where things went wrong and then try to give you some perspective, because your thinking about what you went through in the past is likely distorted. Like, you were less mature, right? When your brain calculated everything, it's like, okay, so I ate a big bag of crap with like secular hookup dating culture for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and all that matters is like how many women you can sleep with. This is how you felt when you were younger. That's where your brain was at. So when your brain crunched the numbers and decided, oh, I'm traumatized now, you were in that place thinking wise. So now you're wiser and smarter. So you go back to that moment when you were processing the trauma and think, you know what, that's not the proper way to think about things. But then you can be like, okay, well, even though I thought about that the wrong way, I still was taking part in that competition, and I was still wasting massive amounts of time. And then that could kind of be traumatizing as well. But, you know, that's some thoughts on how you can deal with trauma. But ultimately, guys, this video isn't really meant to give you a solution. It's like helping you understand why you just don't really want to be social anymore. Like, you don't really want to go out there anymore. You don't want to put yourself in these situations, and now you've maybe accrued some time alone. And that can be kind of traumatizing in its own way. It's like, wow, I've spent like 5, 6, 7 years alone. I haven't really put myself out there. And I'll tell you what, we're living in a wacky world today. I got canceled while I was isolated. I said things while I wasn't around people, and that was on camera. And then people who I haven't even talked to in years socially canceled me because of things I said when nobody was even around. So there's all kinds of ways you could socially ruin yourself without even being social anymore. That's kind of the time we're living in. But yeah, people are going to try to market you a solution because it's just another way to make money. And when you're trying to like do these solutions, when you're trying to do what people tell you is going to make you feel better and it doesn't work, that's discouraging. So all I can tell you guys is that, you know, you had a lot of HP. Young people have like, you can take a good amount of hits, you know? Something screwed up happens to you in life and it hits you and you take the hit and you lose some of your HP. But what happens to people who don't end up like traumatized, isolated, borderline schizo, and you know, schizoid personality disorder is like you're completely antisocial. Just so people know, like I'm gonna probably start calling people schizoids. Like that's not the same thing as schizophrenia. That doesn't mean you hallucinate. That means like you're completely antisocial. So yeah, the people who don't end up isolated and traumatized and borderline schizoid personality, they maybe took some hits in life, but before they ran out of HP from trauma, they got a good career, they got a strong friend circle, they got enough girlfriends or found somebody, got married. They got where they were going, man. Everything worked out for them. And before life could work out for you, you got obliterated. And, you know, just really quick for me, it's like I grew up in this town where I kind of wish I wasn't born. And I got kind of treated like crap by guys who were like 3 standard deviations in IQ lower than me. A lot of who ended up, you know, to be drug addicts when like I ended up to like be a published author. It's never going to be okay to say that, is it? And then I went to like a school that was like really high pressure, that was like really like, I was competing with big fish. I was a pretty big fish myself, but I was meeting these people who like weren't traumatized and who had perfect upbringings and who probably maybe were like even smarter and more talented than me. And I got tail whipped by big fish when I really kind of just like needed some wins because I was low HP. And then after all of that didn't work out, and then I went to Vegas and started rotting away, and then it's just started to like kind of make sense in my head. It's like, wow, I worked really hard trying to make it in Boston, and now I'm here rotting away, and I triggered people on Facebook, and now I'm losing the only like people I had in my life, and all that shit I did was for nothing. That kind of just like processed as trauma. And I was already traumatized at that point. And I have had some like literal traumatizing moments where like somebody beats me up in the back of a car while I'm drunk, dude, over some stupid little argument. So yeah, I think I personally have had some trauma in my life, and it resulted in being isolated, and nobody really like wants to help me, and that's probably where it is for you guys. That's when you can go like really feel sorry for yourself with these kind of like black pillar MGTOW kind of people. But they are right that like society doesn't really care about men who don't make it, you know? Like you're gonna be like, you know, I feel like I don't really want to hang out with people anymore because things went bad for me. It's like, oh man, shucky wucky bucky, why don't you just go outside? Yeah, man. Oh, let me play you a sad song on the world's smallest violin. Dude, you're a wimp, man. You're a loser, dude. What's wrong with you? Like, dude, just go outside, man. Like, wow, bro. Like, and then you're gonna be like, oh, okay. Like, people really are cancer, just like I thought. And so that's pretty much it, dude. Like, you got traumatized, and that knocks you off of the path, man. When you run out of HP, you kind of go into this limbo of the world where you kind of just want to watch things from behind a computer screen. And some people be like, no, this is depression. Now, let me tell you the difference. Depression is when, like, you're at your home and you're miserable. And you could maybe end up depressed after you end up isolated, but I like being at home. I like being around my cats. I like watching TV. I like being on the internet. Now, every now and then I have a day where it's like, wow, like I'm not really a part of the world anymore and life is passing me by, and what was like an issue that I thought I was going to overcome has now evolved into I'm in my 30s and life just isn't really going anywhere, and I'm worried that I'm going to like die alone and grow up to be an old lonely man, and things are going to get really dark for me. So you have some moments where it's like, hey, you know, my life was a complete disaster, and you have a bad day. But ultimately, depression is you can't even get out of bed, and you're miserable, and you're not moving, and you cannot want to be around people and stay in your comfort zone without being depressed. But chances are that you want things that come as a result of being around people, being at the watering hole, moving forward in life. And for now, guys, I would just encourage you to realize, okay, life got hard, I got traumatized, try to realize what that trauma is. But somebody in my chat, Kettlebell, he had some really good insights on trauma. He says that like psychology and all these new age groups have turned it into this kind of like religion where people become obsessed with their trauma, and it's like, everybody think of your trauma, let's bring the trauma to the surface, and it's this snake oil, like they have an idea of how to solve it. And you know, there's women out there who they dealt with trauma and then they end up kind of like obsessing over their trauma because people are telling them that this is how they're going to solve it, by constantly thinking about it, and ultimately you bring it to the surface. And I mean, it doesn't sound right to say you should bury it down, but you guys, this idea that you're going to bring it to the surface and heal it somehow or experience it for the last time, whatever happened to you sucks. And that's why you're traumatized. And that's why it knocked all your HP out. And ultimately, what you kind of want to do is just push it down and not think of it and be distracted by other things. And eventually it will get to a point where you're like, you know, I got a good career, I'm dating a great woman who I feel like I'm going to propose to, and life is going great, and I got a support circle that I didn't think I could have ever again. That's when you can kind of look back at the trauma and be like, wow, you know, life was hard, those times were hard, but I'm where I wanted to be now. And that's when you can start healing the trauma. The idea that you're going to heal your trauma when you're isolated and ultimately like you got bludgeoned out of life, I just don't think it works like that, bro. And ultimately, a bunch of people who want to make money and scam you, ultimately at the expense of your happiness and your success and your mental well-being, they're just a bunch of vipers, dude. Just a bunch of snakes are going to come out and try to make money off of you. So I don't really have much of a solution other than understand that you're probably traumatized and understand that you still want to get somewhere in life. And it's going to require stepping out of your comfort zone, making money, getting a career, man. The older I get, the more everybody online is like, oh, dude, women don't care about how tall you are, but do you have something to offer? You got money? I mean, I feel like these guys who are saying things like, man, I got a career, I got a house, and I got a job, and I can't get a woman. It's like, I kind of wish I was in your shoes, dude, because I don't got a lot of money, bro. For me, music, I was really good at music, and it pushed me all in. And boy, oh boy, did I get tail whipped by some big fish. And boy, oh boy, did I face some really traumatic stuff. And I think a lot of people don't want to understand it. When I talk about it, I get shamed, and people try to tail whip me even more and make me feel bad about it. And that's what's happening to a lot of men, is like, you had some really traumatic experiences, and nobody really wants to hear about it, dude. They'll be like, go get a psychologist, go get a therapist, and they're just going to try to give you pills. And you can have bad experiences where some nut like wants to shove pills down your throat, and you might politely decline it, and then they basically think that they're like the master of your mind, and like you're refusing help, and they might try to ruin your life, dude. Happened to you, because it happened to me. So that's all I got right now, guys. God bless you. Like, be good to yourself, dude. I don't think I need an entire video to say, like, it's really the small things in life, bros. You probably thought that, like, having a good woman by your side loving you, appreciating you is like the ultimate thing. And you know, it could be. Like, all I can really say is that so many men are not finding that. So many women are not finding a man that they want to keep around. It's just like, the things that for the most people are probably going to bring the most happiness is going to be like the little things, dude. Watching your favorite DVD, playing your favorite game, hanging out and having discussions online, hanging out in a live stream with your buddy and your buddies, having some cats, or going for walks with your dog, like working out. Like, these little things in life is probably as good as it's going to get for the majority of people, bro, because a lot of marriages don't work. A lot of relationships don't work. The amount of people who are like getting fulfilled by love is probably smaller than it's ever been. So in terms of like, how are you going to kind of get back on your feet and get back out into the world? Just take it easy, buddy. Just enjoy some stuff. Just enjoy some little things. Like, don't beat yourself up any more than you've already been beaten up. Realize that there is just like an epidemic of psychopath, narcissist people in the world, and then a lot of them are the ones that are making accolades and getting places and surpassing milestones, and that there's a predatory system that they need like bug people, bro. They need NPC people to like hit the ruin your life button, bro. Like, a totalitarian, wicked system is forming all around us, okay? And the kind of people who are going to have big, high-status jobs and get places in life, they don't care about stepping on people's faces. They don't have morals. They don't want to help people. The only reality they know is what the establishment tells them. And somebody who has a deep faith in Jesus Christ, and the Bible will tell you that Bible pretty much says the world is going to be ruled by Satan, principalities in high places, and well, I'll tell you what, CIA, DOD, CFR, Bilderberg, Trilateral Commission, these are pretty high places, and I'm pretty sure that's where the principalities are. And so, you know, maybe that can help you feel a little bit better. Like, the world is just kind of evil, and people who tend to climb the ranks in the world tend to be evil, or at least like they don't really have feelings, and they're basically like high-functioning psychopaths who just, you had feelings, man, and you probably had some people tell you you're too sensitive in life. They're not sensitive at all, and you have sensitivity and you have feelings, and yeah, a lot of times that might look like maybe you're 3 standard deviations of IQ higher than everybody around you. So that's all I gotta say, guys. That's a lot, but I think this is actually a video that I'm gonna keep up, because let's go. God bless you, friends. Thanks for being here for me, and I'm here for you, little buddy.